For over a millennium, the Galactic Union believed it had cataloged every intelligent species within the Orion Spur. They'd seen warriors, scholars, merchants, even conquerors. But never had they encountered anything quite like humans. When the distress call came, it was fragmented, static-filled screams, coordinates, and only 2 words repeated with growing desperation. Humans. Help. The source was the planet Zyraxa, a fringe world occupied by the Threxian Accord, a peaceful, insectoid race known for their diplomacy. The Union dismissed the call, assuming it was a pirate ambush or internal civil unrest. But Earth Command had been monitoring the outer channels. And humans had a rule: no ignored calls for help, especially from allies. Within minutes of decoding the SOS, Protocol Ragnarok was activated. It was a directive buried deep in humanity's interstellar playbook, only invoked when the enemy was unknown, but the threat was total. By the time the Galactic Union's bureaucrats finished their debates, the Deathworlder fleet had already launched. The Threxians had never intended to call humans. Their race revered pacifism, and while they respected human power, they feared their wrath. But desperation overrode fear. Their world was under siege, not from pirates or mercenaries, but by an ancient force thought extinct, the Vorkai. The Vorkai were once considered a myth, void-dwelling entities of living metal and quantum fire, banished to the dead zones of the galaxy. But myths, the Threxians now realized, were often warnings. When the sky tore open above Zyraxa and hundreds of Vorkai vessels rained destruction on the cities below, the Threxians' only hope became the very species they had tried to keep at a distance. 17 hours after the SOS, the human Deathworlder fleet exited warp over Zyraxa. Unlike the sleek, curved vessels of the Union, human warships were brutalist monstrosities. Black-armored, angular behemoths bristling with kinetic cannons, plasma lances, and nuclear payloads. Each bore names not of peace, but of vengeance. HFS Vindicator, HFS Ironhowl, HFS Widowmaker. At their core flew the HFS Leviathan, the flagship of Admiral Naira Callan, a third-generation warborn officer forged in the crucible of Earth's Terran Defense Corps. She stood at the Leviathan's bridge, staring down at the burning world below, her voice like steel over the comms. "We gave them peace. Now we bring war." The Vorkai noticed the fleet arrival and laughed. They had fought the old races. Broken star empires. Snuffed out suns. They had not faced humans before, but they saw only flesh, bone, and arrogance. They launched a preemptive strike. 37 of their ships turned skyward, plasma tethers and singularity warheads screaming through the void toward the incoming fleet. And then humanity answered. The first Deathworlder ship to fire was the Iron Howl. Its main rail cannon, the God Spike, launched a tungsten rod the size of a building at 0.3 c, 30% the speed of light. It passed clean through a Vorkai destroyer, rupturing its core and scattering its metallic remains like confetti in space. The Vindicator followed, unleashing its drone swarms, each unit armed with AI targeting, nuclear tips, and self-evolution code. They didn't just attack, they learned, adapted, and improved mid-battle. And then the Leviathan fired its main weapon, the Hell's Gate, a focused gravity rift that crushed one Vorkai warship into a singularity before its dying scream reached even a single Threxian ear. From the surface, the Threxians watched the sky light up, not with their own doom, but with salvation. Entire Vorkai fleets were annihilated in minutes. The humans didn't fight like warriors. They fought like forces of nature, relentless, unyielding, and without mercy. The Union's ambassador, a Glur diplomat stationed nearby, finally arrived mid-battle. Upon seeing the devastation, he attempted to hail Admiral Callan. "Admiral, this aggression is disproportionate." "This isn't aggression," she cut in coldly. "It's a response. But you're wiping out an entire fleet. They attacked civilians. They broke the ancient codes. We're not here to negotiate, we're here to end it." The ambassador went silent. By the 6th hour of combat, the Vorkai were in retreat. But humans didn't retreat. The fleet divided into hunter groups, chasing each enemy vessel to the edges of known space. The Deathworlders believed in a simple doctrine: leave none to return with the story. Back on Zyraxa, survivors emerged from shelters and ruins. Threxian children clung to their elders, watching the human war machines descend not to conquer, but to deliver food, medicine, and power cells. One young Threxian asked their elder, trembling, "Why did they come?" The elder, antennae twitching with awe, replied softly, "Because we asked." Weeks later, in a high chamber of the Galactic Union, a new law was proposed, the Human Clause. Any distress signal received within 300 parsecs of Earth would be automatically relayed to them, even if no one else responded. Because now the Union understood humans were not peacekeepers. They were interveners, the ones who came when no one else dared. And when they arrived, they didn't bring warnings. They brought the end.